Have you ever imagined what would happen if you mix Dark Souls, Skyrim, Diablo 2 in just one game, but only using the graphics straight out from the 90s? Well, that's how you get Buriedbornes. Probably one of the most original and unique games that I have played in my life. Buriedbornes is a 2D, hardcore dungeon crawler roguelike RPG created and developed by a Japanese game creator named Onasi. It can be played on your mobile and on the web. From what I have heard, the whole game was created and even translated by Onasi himself. By hardcore, this simply means that the game does not teach you any kind of tutorial at all on how the game plays or how it even works. You will have to discover and learn everything by yourself. One of the hallmarks of its difficulty is that once your character dies, it is gone forever, and you will just have to create another one. And just like that, my newly created character is dead forever. Once again, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, welcome to Gamer Recommends. I am your host, Donn, and for this video, we will tackle a mobile game called Buriedbornes. Wait, Donn, are you really playing a mobile game right now? Have you gone normie? I know, but hey, hear me out on this one. You know, when I went back to my hometown because of the pandemic, I left all of my gaming consoles and also my PC. Because of that, I had an itch to play dungeon RPGs, so I searched all over the internet and stumbled upon this hidden gem. A game so underrated that it has one of the smallest community in the gaming scene. Very few people are talking about it, uploading about it, and of course playing it. So, what is this Buriedbornes anyway? Okay, so here's the catch. It's really hard to review this game if you cannot understand what is going on, because to be honest, the game is a little bit vague. I myself did not know anything about it at all when I first started. In other words, there are a lot of things that are peculiar to this game. So this is what I'm going to do. I will try my best to explain the basics of the in-game mechanics in order for you to understand my point of view. Let us begin then. Upon finishing the long loading screen of the game, which sometimes takes a minute or two, you will then be presented with this. The user interface is beginner friendly, the boxes highlight where to click and is well organized. When starting a new game, you will have to click here. The game allows you 3 characters to create and play at a time, and deleting a character will, of course, kill that character forever. I think it's a little bit creative, but at the same time, very limiting. And here we have the item shop, of course, where you can spend your in-game currencies in the form of gold shards, event points, soul stones, and even droid leaves. The game has a lot of in-game currencies. But in order to unlock new characters, you will mainly use soul stones, which you can gain from exploring the dungeons and from defeating new enemies. And in here we have the lab, where you can customize a character's attributes and bonuses, using in-game items obtained from defeating enemies. I will discuss further about the lab later on. The Union also offers a slight increase in perks and bonuses depending on what you choose. The Bargain is like a combination of the item shop and the lab where you can obtain parts for your character. For me, the game is extremely detailed and it gives you a lot of freedom and opportunity to modify and tinker on how your character will play. At the same time, it does not spoon feed you. Even a slight variation in your build can mean that your character is as good as dead. It is very unforgiving. Upon clicking the add part, this will appear. Of course, that's my character name, Donny Boy, and that's my job, which is a torturer. The destination are different dungeon levels where you can send your character to, like the Labyrinth, Weekly, Weekly EX, and others. The different levels vary on difficulty, and even item drops. I like how the game also gives you that. Moving on, we can see here the jobs that you want your character to be, which are a lot as you can see here. But upon downloading the game, you can only use the first 4 jobs, which are the classic RPG characters such as the warrior, ranger, mage, and priest. Some of these jobs you can unlock for free upon roaming the dungeon and defeating them, and some you can only unlock by buying. And we also have the contracts, which also give your character a boost, as you can see in here. Now moving on, this is the battle phase. So this occurs every time you enter a room with an enemy. Now a little bit of pointers in here. That's my HP bar, the yellow number 50 is my armor, and the green asterisks represent barriers, which work similar to an armor, but only more effective as it completely repels some attacks regardless of damage. The Dark Spear here is my skill, along with the other skills. Upon clicking one of the skills, generally, upon activation of that skill, it will end your turn. And now the opponent has to attack. The red dot is a condition of the room that you are in. Conditions affect overall gameplay, like an additional skill cooldown, or you have the confused status, skills deal more damage, among others. The arrow here points your current score and also on what floor you are already in. The game is technically endless, but the real boss of the game will appear on the 100th floor. And here is a footage of how the normal battle proceeds. And now proceeding on to the dungeons, where you will spend a good chunk of your time playing. The rooms are completely random, and there's absolutely no same playthroughs where you have the same set of rooms, except of course for every 10th floor, where you will have to battle the Ancient King. So this basically means that every game will be different. You cannot skip rooms unless you have a skill for that. Upon leveling up, you will be given a chance to change one of your current skills with another skill that is randomized. And you can even change that skill if you click on the re-roll button. Aside from upgrading your skills, you also get to loot items that have better stats than your previous weapon. Totally up to you though. And except for legendary items which have fixed stats, common items have randomized stats. Not only do you get to fight monsters, but also you get to fight Buriedbornes, which are real player characters who died and then went into the servers. I even had the opportunity to fight with one of my characters once. Remember the lab parts earlier? Now, upon scavenging for parts in-game, which happen as you kill more enemies, the parts will go straight into your lab, which then you can attach to specific jobs. In my case, I have most of them attached to my necromancer. Now going back to the dungeons, you will also enter event rooms like this, and you will be given a choice as to whether or not to participate in that event, like opening a treasure box. And if you do, you risk opening up a curse, or you can gain a status bonus. In this, I got a limit break. Another thing that I really like about this game is the artwork. Remember Joblo 2? Remember Elder Scrolls Arena? The artwork really reminds me of those classic RPGs. It even reminds me of a board game called Cutthroat Caverns. The art just takes you back to the 90s up to the early 2000s. I think that it is a good homage to the ARPGs of that time. As you can see in here, I have only unlocked 53% of all the monsters in the game. You unlock more as you progress deeper into the dungeon. And in here, I'm just showcasing some of my favorite monsters in terms of artwork. Really striking sketch though. Similarly, we also have the lists of the legendary items that are in-game. The pixel art fit really good into the atmosphere of the game. And in here we have the in-game characters, with my favorite the Necromancer, as you may have noticed already. And I also like the Scavenger every now and then. Just look at this lore, man. And the last thing that I want to mention is the background music. There are times that the music gets really disturbing. that I have to put it on you. I understand that they are just going for the classic RPG atmosphere, but sometimes it crosses the line. Sure, it can get the mood going, but for me, there is some room of improvement in that aspect. I am not saying at all that the music's bad. I'm just saying that maybe they can revamp that or maybe add in a little bit of variety. The sound effects are fantastic though. Feels really nostalgic. Again, it reminds me of Diablo 2. I would also just like to clarify that I am not an expert in this game by any means, and I am still learning a lot in this game because, as you may have noticed by now, it has a massive content which paves the way for replayability. This is the farthest that I have come, and I was able to reach the 100th, but got stuck on the Infinite Army boss. Now, I think I may have to replay it again because that character is dead already. All in all, I will definitely recommend this game to anyone who loves the RPG genre and also does not mind a little bit of a challenge. I know that some people prefer easier games, as we all do sometimes, but the gratification that you get from this game every time you advance floor is something that cannot be explained and must be experienced. Despite all of the tips on the internet, it is still up to you how to conquer the challenges of your dungeon run. As again, no two gameplays will ever be the same. In sum, I will give this game a 9 over 10, as I rarely come across a mobile game of this depth, with my only reservation being the total lack of in-game guidance, which can put off some players, and also the background music. Still, I highly recommend that you play this game. You can also find the unofficial Buriedbornes guide down in the description box, and also the link to the game. If by any chance you got hooked into the game, be sure to let me know by leaving a comment and maybe we can exchange tips and hopefully have a bigger Buriedbornes community. Well, that sums up my review for the mobile game Buriedbornes. Again, I am Donn from Gamer Recommends. I hope you had a good time watching this, and as always, keep on gaming, you all.